Good afternoon, fellow traders. All right, guys, we got to talk about what's going on with this market. Looks like we're going to continue to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze up to that daily expected move. So the bad part about this, I don't want to be the guy that just has to say something bad, but if we keep leaking higher and leaking higher, it kind of asks for a bigger drop. So we'll pay attention to it for now. We just got to say we're still squeezing and we still look pretty damn bullish in here. But as we can look forward, we can look for some kind of 2-hour pullback that is coming as we start to get really overextended to the upside. Now, it would make sense for the direction to continue as we don't have much news coming out for the rest of this week, right? Until we get to that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday area, we can still see this continue. So we'll pay attention. We're starting to see some 15-minute divergences up in here. Okay, you're starting to see that weakness, but this can just continue to happen. You can keep seeing more and more divergences throughout this whole run if it's going to keep squeezing and squeezing. Now, something is very different today at this point than we've seen in a little while. Okay, and whoever could point out that thing, I'm going to give you a little hint of what it is. And Jeremiah, that happens to be the thing that's different here still is we're actually holding that PCC. Okay, we're holding that low PCC. You remember the other day, we were low, right, on Friday, but we didn't come down because this started to rip back up to the put side. So people still buying puts in that area. Now you have people over leveraged to the call side. Okay, over leveraged to the call side and it's remaining there. That's a big key thing. This time it is remaining there. Now we haven't necessarily, I haven't seen this difference, the dollar actually extending higher. Right now you're seeing the market go higher while the dollar drops. That makes total sense, right, NTSM? Right? It just makes sense. If the dollar is going down, and then that would make sense for assets to go up. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to. Now, Apple's still giving us a few red flags, I would say, right? Looking like, hey, it's curling over on a 2-hour saying, hey, I need to consolidate or pull back. I'm kind of running out of steam here. So that could be a big deal. Now, you notice we did react up to a higher point. So we could just remain in this area and head sideways until we actually see that break to the upside. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it is showing that we're maybe going to see some kind of breadth in the market, right? It could be that, but it also, we still want to be aware that even though this is dropping down, it's getting rid of this divergence point. It still has the multiple divergence point, right? It still has these signals going on, and the 4-hour, I believe, still has these signals going for it. So you're at a point where this is really starting to drop off. You have to take it as bullish for now. You just want to say this is correlating to the market right now. So because it is correlated, well, it's negatively correlated, right? The dollar goes down, market goes up. So the dollar keeps going down, then we should expect that market to keep going up unless we're seeing a major flight to safety or something like that. That can cause this type of thing to happen. But for the most part, we would say if the dollar were to head up from here, what would happen in the market? Well, the market would suffer a little bit because of how it's correlated at this moment. That's how I see it. I'm trying to read into it the best I can at this moment, though. You're still squeezing, and that's why I said, you know, being patient will be a good idea. You notice we did go up towards that daily expected move. We're starting to set up a bunch of little 15-minute divergences. Now, those can just be erased, right? In the futures market, you can continue to head higher, but for the most part, this is just pretty great. And then, yeah, things are crossing a little bit later, like Tesla. Things that are crossing now, you do still have some weakness in here, so you may need to go dip to find those buyers, but most likely that won't curl back down the daily chart. It might just be an intraday pullback, right? Intraday pullback is the thought there. But if daily momentum just wants to take over for Tesla, this big move could already be happening right now. But we found those signals down here. It led to the upside, managed the trade, 30-minute curls back up, right back in, boom, to the upside. So fantastic trade setup. Google was another one lagging behind just a little bit, but not really. It crossed up on Friday. So we're seeing that extension now. We got to see what happens with the 20. Can you take back the 20? Are you going to experience like a 30-minute pullback even? Because at this point, you haven't really experienced a big 30-minute pullback ever since this low here. You've kind of moved sideways for a brief moment, just barely a blip, and then you end up going higher. So can that affect what's going on with Google? Is there a 15-minute divergence? There is. It has confirmed, but you're not seeing that downside. So you start to break above these levels, daily momentum can take over. 2-hour here for the divergence was a fantastic play, and congratulations if you were able to see that. Looks like GME and AMC just sitting in the same area for most of the day. AMD with a solid 4% move, able to get back up into this area. So one of the key breakdown areas is this box in here, and it looks like we're getting to there right now. It would be nice as a trader to see this thing back off even for a brief moment, so we'll pay attention to it, but we're not seeing necessarily big reversal in trend signals. One thing that I did notice about volatility is, you know, the SPY is going to a higher level by a decent amount, 0.67, okay? We're not seeing volatility drop off as fast here. If anything, we might be seeing it touching, about to touch that 200. So we're still above the 200, which means volatility can come back in very quickly. So what am I looking for from volatility? Well, this is a reversal signal here. You do see on this RSI, the divergence across the way, boom, 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 boom. You can see it. You see it on the MACD all the way across, and even right here, we see it, okay? So this does mean we do have potential for that to pop, but that would most likely need some kind of news behind it, right? That would most likely need some news behind it. But as we keep going higher, we keep drifting and drifting and drifting higher, it gets a little bit more worrisome, all right? As you ignore building structure to grab more liquidity, at any point this could run out and you could see a sudden drop like this that could convince you you're crashing, and then it just curls right back up. So we'll pay attention to it. I don't think we have any news that could really send us down, send us for that big pullback down towards this area, but you never know these days. We have so much going on. Palantir. The only thing about Palantir that's kind of worrying me, a lot of divergences across. 2-hour really looks like it wants to pull back, doesn't it? Like it really looks like it's curling down. It wants to pull down. And I think a good area for that would be right around $29.50 to $30. Right around this area would be a fantastic retest of the broken out high. You come down into that area and then you just curl back up. And I think you got an opportunity there. That's kind of what I'm looking at, Lewis. But for the most part, you want to see, look at that, so that downward move here, but you're not seeing that on the MAC or on the RSI at the same time. So this could just be a short pullback. So you have to be ready to react. If you see a few hours worth of selling and then you see that turn back up, the most likely thing for a lot of things going on, we'll talk about the SPY when we make this comment, but the hourly, you see how that's crossed over. So you can pull back pretty much any time now. You're at that daily expected move. You just trickled up all day, but watch out because this could just be one half day, 4 hours worth of selling, and that goes bloop, and then it just turns right back up. Yeah, and I think some people are already predicting 3 25 basis point rate cuts at this point. The only thing that's making me worried if they're going to hold rates higher is going to be the retail sales number, how they read into that. So we just have to see. I think FOMC minutes will be fantastic. We can try to figure it out, or we can be smart, be patient, and see what he says, and then react based on the signals. That's mainly what I like to do at those moments. But we'll read into it. We'll look at the signals beforehand. As of right now, you can see those yields still dropping off just a little bit, but if you kind of zoom out for a second, the daily scale is turning up here. So the daily scale is trying to turn up. Negative bar, you want a positive bar there. So that could say, hey, we're actually going to wait a little bit longer, right? They could say, we're going to wait a little bit longer, and then boom, you see a spike in the 10-year yield. So we'll pay attention to it, but for the most part, we just want to be looking for reversal signals, and we just don't see any. You just don't. Now, we did say that the Dow would end up going up towards our trend line. Where are we right now? We're pretty much right at it. Sexy Vixen update. Let's go, Just Joe. VIX posted a new target at 1454, so no new add to my current UVIX long position until VIX trades safely below 1454. VIX at 1467 live right now. Yeah, so volatility just trying to show, I think volatility is trying to show some of those reversal signals and says, hey, I could reverse from here. But the key thing to keep in mind there is if we don't get any news that causes a reaction, then the most likely thing to happen is what's happening right now. The VIX is breaking down. So if we don't get anything, if there's no profit taking, if there's no rebalancing, if there's no black swan, you're most likely not going to see a big move in volatility. If anything, you could see a small pullback if you get no news. You're seeing some of the PCC start to trickle up a little bit, but that's kind of how I see it. How are you seeing it, Just Joe? How are you trying to read into it? Not really adding to it, I see. Oh, shoot. I got to grab something real quick. Be right back. 2 seconds. I'm going to read just Joe's comment after. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. All right, let's switch over to the SPY, see what's happening towards the end of the day here. But I think a 15-minute actually is not bad to watch for the end of the day. Let's just really zoom in on it. Still unsure if the computers are going to take the QQQ and the SPY all the way to retest the 52-week high. Yes. PCC at point. I don't see 0.552. I see 0.748 right now. But yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying too, though, just Joe, wouldn't that be kind of, you're asking for a bigger pullback, if not some kind of trap, like a bigger long-term trap if you keep heading higher and just squeezing and squeezing. Because now you have a low PCC. So that is just interesting, is how I'd read into it. I'm glad I'm being patient. Please look at Fubo real quick. Fubo we looked at this morning for a little bit. What we're looking for from this is any kind of signal that we're going to see more upside. Okay, so if you're looking for this to get back up towards $2, you're going to need this 15-minute to cross, okay? You have some signals here that are saying, hey, price action could get above this. RSI already getting above the center line, so you're starting to see a little bit of that happen. But really, this MACD curls up, you're going to feel real confident. But the first things that can make you feel a little bit better are if you get a strong bar like this, green bar closing above these moving averages, and you curl up here on that RSI, which the RSI is already doing that. The higher we go, the bigger the trap. Exactly. And it doesn't mean that trap has to lead into a crash. It just shows, if you look at a 2 hour, it's look, we're getting really excited at these levels. So that just tells me if we do keep going higher, well, then this could all be some kind of, little cup and handle or something. This probably violates that, but we could be getting up to this area, consolidate, then break higher. But it's this point right here that if we keep going higher, this could be more sudden. And then we see that curl back around, right? We could see this, if we get up to here, we could see some kind of, 3-4% drop before that actually wants to curl up. And then you also have to say, since we're overexcited at this point, that this could be something a little uglier. You always want to be open to that. Now, I'm leaning towards some more positivity, but we will see. I really thought that this area here makes the most sense to just do this, and then you're healthy breaking through that area, I think. LMT. Oh, golden setup. Let's go look at the golden setup. I am down. Okay, you have a 2 hour divergence. I see that. I guess you have a bunch of 30-minute divergence, but mainly 2 hour divergence. And then daily, I'm not seeing the golden setup necessarily, but you do have that small divergence here. With the golden setup more, you want to see that flow of the MACD every time. Make it very, very obvious. But I do like what you're looking at this moment. You're seeing that daily crossover. What happened with the 2 hour? Well, the 2 hour gave you that signal right here. And now you're seeing, hey, the daily could cross over. That happened. So that tells you a pullback is likely here. Doesn't mean it has to happen. No. So you want to make sure to manage the trade. You have a 2 hour chart that is really close to the center line. So if that curls up, that can mean more positivity, which means bad things for a daily pullback, right? So you want to say, hey, if this curls up, that's momentum saying upside. So do I really want to short this anymore? But as this is still curled down, you don't necessarily have to worry about it too much. The daily is crossing down saying, hey, I could pull back. Now, where could you pull back down to? That's a key thing. So you want to kind of look back. I would say this 491.73 is probably the lowest point that it could retest. If it wants to continue going higher over time, though, and really continue this positive trend, you could just see some kind of short move towards 540. Yeah, big swing trades opportunities were there. They are there, and they're still there, I think, for things like Google. I think this still has potential You know, if these start to catch up, you can continue to go higher in the overall SPY and the Qs because this still has some room to go to create structure. And that's something interesting. But I did notice NVIDIA breaking through, just slightly breaking through here. So fantastic move from NVIDIA at this point. But look how overdone it is on this 2 hour again. So this could be a reaction, an opposite to reaction to when we kind of crash down over here, right? So this could be that opposite reaction, people starting to feel good again. Okay, makes sense. Now it would make sense to still go get some kind of retest. It really would. This would remain healthy at that point, but I'm just gonna do a fair warning. If this continues to just go like this and go like this and go like this, and we get to earnings, that is a piece of bad news that can really hurt you if you're forming a divergence. What would you do if you actually did this? Oh, okay, you would form that divergence if you continue higher from here, and you might even see something like that pop up. So we just want to pay attention to this. Any kind of reversals, we want to be careful around earnings, all the stuff we normally are careful about. But for the most part, we're seeing this as the dollar moving down and stocks going up. It makes total sense. I'm going in on it since last Friday. Yeah, Friday was the buy signal overall for a swing trade for Google. It really was. It didn't look the best, but it was a positive bar above the 9. You're above the 200. Feel pretty safe about this. You're curling down on, curling up on the MACD. Now you got to know where this positioning of the MACD is, right? We talk about that in the course. Those are 90% off in the description down there. But we talked about this curling up on the MACD. Now this is the last signal to actually confirm. Very funny to see an RSI lag behind. You don't see that terribly often. You do see it, but just not terribly often. A lot of the time, the MACD is the one lagging behind because it is a lagging indicator. But this is a good sign that you can see some positivity. You had 2 hour divergence right here. Great play for some upside there. We'll see if that can continue as some stuff is hitting. Mainly it's getting through resistances actually. So we have to talk about it very bullishly. It's getting through another resistance point. So it is pretty likely that we're heading towards a weekly expected move. Kind of worrisome to do that right before some big events going on with Jackson Hole, but maybe it's going to be all good news from here on out. Who knows? One thing to pay attention to, if weeklies start to cross up as well, you could be in an overextended move. Now, something to look at here is you still had divergence up here, all right? You still had some divergence points up here. So this still could be some kind of trap, and we just want to make sure we're paying attention to the right things. As of right now, the dollar is not saying that this is a trap in any way. Aren't we glad we found some reversal signals, though? I didn't have the balls to hold more longs into today. I did not. I took my money and ran. But congratulations if you had the balls to hold it. Because the dollar really dropping off. You see this just dropping and dropping and dropping. So now I can make it up. I could make a trend line up and things like that. But overall, you just want to say, hey, this thing is turning down and turning down and turning down. Now, the last time you're in this area, what happened? Well, you saw a reaction and then you went lower. So are we seeing this happen just in a shorter time frame? That's what I'm kind of worried about. You still have these 4 hour signals. Now, it's not holding as well with the current divergence point here, but it is holding with the main low over here. The one that got to the lowest point, you're beating that. And so you do have the divergence there, just so you're aware. Apple looked like, someone mentioning Apple looked like it might want to turn back up. The main thing here is the 2 hour has turned down, okay? But if this starts to turn back up, if things start to cross back up into positive territory on these 30-minute charts, you can see a breakthrough. And I believe, where are weekly expected moves for these guys right now? Yeah, this could head higher. That's the crazy part. It's like if it breaks through that, it can head even higher. Hamas is trending. Hold on. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel accepted a proposal for a ceasefire and a hostage release in Gaza and called on Hamas to do the same. Okay, it looks like ceasefire proposal is out there. But I don't know if Hamas is accepting that at this time. Yeah, they're still waiting on Hamas to accept. So if they deny that in a big way, that could really shake things up. One thing to notice here is you do see divergences forming. You will see this all the time on short squeezes, like on NVIDIA. You will see this all the time in short squeezes. You don't want to try to short all those times, right? I'm just going to say I've tried to short squeezes. It does not work out well, let me tell you that. But what you can do is really wait for this to get as close. Like you see how this keeps doing. If it keeps that waviness, right? And then it gets to here, that's when you really want to pay attention. Now, the only problem with that is you'd have earnings right around the corner. So you more want to look at what other stocks look like before this earnings as well. So we'll pay attention to that for you. We're going to be putting out a YouTube video here in a little while. We'll pay attention to that, right? Make sure you tune in for that. Tonight, we're going to put that out, give you guys some new daily expected moves and things like that. And then on Patreon, if we keep going to higher levels, we're probably going to put out a Patreon video on Tuesday or Wednesday, give you an update video. That's down in the description as well if you want to get those videos. We overall told people about some of the reversal signals in these areas and how we could experience a short squeeze just a week ago. So very, very cool. Actually, that was like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? Dems need a win, hence the ceasefire. Yeah, they probably do want a ceasefire. But Hamas, pretty much every single ceasefire attempt has kind of just been shot down by one or the other group, to be honest. I gotta charge my phone. Did get a nice call. I might be doing some soccer training again. I love training. I only like to deal with the serious kids, though. Okay, VIX at 1459 live, but I doubt a breakdown below 1454 will result in a confirmed bottom. A new target low is more likely, so I'll wait for 15 minutes to see how it sets up. That's probably a good idea. As you look into the VIX, you're just seeing more and more of this thing start to drift down, but dollar is shooting up. Dollar is not shooting up just yet. We'll see. Now you do have divergence points down here. I don't like the shorter time frames for the dollar. I still like 2-hour cross-ups. Those seem to have more steam behind them. So a 30-minute cross-up can be great. Maybe you see that reversal signal, but those just fail a lot of the time with the dollar on the 30-minute. So 2 hours is what I like to look at. But yeah, Mojoma, you're paying attention to the right things. Seriously. Jim Johnson, welcome in today. Are you a Messi or Ronaldo guy? I think Messi is the better overall player. I myself play like Ronaldo. So I'm like a Ronaldo on the wing. So I'm a high believer that for me, both are entertaining. It's hard to ask a soccer player. It's hard to ask a soccer player like me because I've played center mid, I've played wing, I've played forward. So more likely, I would say Messi can take over a game. Ronaldo can have one moment and score. And if I had all my money on giving one player one moment to score, I would go with Ronaldo every single time. Okay, Palo Alto. There you go, Jim. Let's go. All right, so Palo Alto, we're seeing some interesting stuff, actually. So we're probably seeing the daily obviously has confirmed up at this point. So what do we want to be aware of here? What's the bullish and bearish scenarios? Okay, so the bearish scenario is you get some bad earnings, right? And this crosses down on this MACD, and what do you have? You have a potential for double top, and that could get dramatic to the downside. Now, the bullish scenario is you have completed it, you've come up to that resistance, and now you're consolidating to then break to the upside. So you do have an earnings that's going to be a 50-50 flip. We'll find out what happens with that, but 2-hour cross up, good. If you wanted to extend that down, say an hourly cross up, good. Daily cross down, bad. But earnings is a 50-50 flip, so technicals can be taken out the window. And you're pretty much at a point like, am I going to break through or am I going to double top? So you're kind of at a 50-50 scenario with that one. I'm sorry to say it, Jim. I wish I could guess, right? That's what it would be, guess which way this would go with earnings, but I can't really do that. I just can't. I don't want to sit and guess. That would not be a good thing to teach everyone as I'm trying to teach some people stuff on YouTube. It would not be good for people who want to learn from me to see me trying to guess moves before earnings. It's just not a good thing. I can tell you this, though, as far as volatility goes. You know how I know this? Maybe just Joe knows this, too. People still have some big hedges in the market right now. People have some big hedges in the market. Do you know why I think that is happening? And it's actually, I think it's still holding even towards the end of August right now. People are going to keep hedging. It's just because the options data is not losing value to the call side. The options data is not losing value to the call side, even with volatility breaking down further and further. Ever since this point right here, we have held that value, and now you have tapered off, so you have that opportunity to switch that direction. We'll see. Yeah, you're welcome, Jim. I'm sorry it wasn't like the best take. Anything with earnings is going to be a hard take. A lot of the time I encourage with earnings, it's like if you feel like you have to play it, okay, awesome. Just know that a big move can come. You don't have to risk as much money. That's one thing. It's just really managing that position size. Nice job, Pitching Academy. Hell yeah, let's freaking go, dude. And then as far as it goes, though, earnings can be a 50-50 flip, so that's why you want to maybe downsize that position. You can still make plenty of money on a big move. That's fantastic. It'd be great, but you just don't want to risk a lot on it because all they have to do is say one bad thing, you know? All they have to do is say one good thing, and it could go against you in either direction. And right now, with how Palo Alto is looking, it's like, hey, is it a double top or is it consolidation to break through that resistance? So you're kind of at, even with the technicals, a deciding point, and you need more price action to really make a decision. That would be my opinion. But this dollar starts to spike up all of a sudden, then people might start to change their tone. Oh wait, I'm on a 1 hour chart. 2 hour chart's what I want. I wanted to see Dow on the 2 hour. This would be a great pullback though. Pulls back down to like 40K, 39.9, 39.8K. Boom, starts to turn back up. That'd be fantastic. Qs rejected. So when you see this type of look, usually you'll have some kind of 30-minute divergence forming, and it looks like we're forming that as of right now. But will that hold, or is that just going to break through with some news? We'll find out. It looks like something political could shake up the market, because right now, I'm not using this as a technical indication, but right now you have a ton of politics in the trending stuff. Like pretty much everything that is, let's see, everything that is trending is either politics, business, and finance. Politics, business, and finance. Politics, business, and finance as of right now. Oh, I would really watch out. There seems like some news happening. Just by watch out, we mean pay attention to the signals, right? We mean just pay attention, see if things are starting to roll back down. Notice that the spike of rejecting this here, it could mean something. Does it mean take a position for some kind of dramatic volatility that could come in? Not necessarily. It just means more so this is a strong move. It's going to need to digest more than it has throughout this move. Like this, like you thought this was over, oh, that was overexcited, dip back down. Now they gain the liquidity for all of this to happen. But do they have the liquidity still to continue it from this point, or do they need to shoot it down and then see that thing come back up? So we'll pay attention to it, but for the most part, everything looks pretty damn bullish. We just want to look for our opportunities. Meta might be a good opportunity for a 2-hour pullback. See, it's like Meta could be double topping right now and we don't even notice, right? You see the divergence on the RSI, slight even divergence here on the MACD. Yeah, it's kind of like here you get some selling. Here you get the buying, right? So now we're at one of those sell points and we'll see if we can break through. And Netflix still continuing to head up. AMC not able to curl up on the MACD just yet. Fun stuff. Let's look at a 15-minute and just stare at the SPY together. Like we're in a rom-com staring into each other's eyes. Let's stare at this. We're starting to see a blip, but we're not seeing the dollar react. PCC still pretty low. So if they wanted to pull back and hurt people, that would be tomorrow, honestly, but we'll see. It can just gap higher. It's still very bullish. Call volume's a little higher for Palo Alto. Yeah, no, seriously, congratulations again, Pitching Academy. I love to see you guys win. That's fan-freaking-tastic. Exactly, and Just Joe's got it right. You know, if they, that's the thing, if they put any kind of implied volatility into a stock that does have earnings, you can run into weird times where you'll buy a call, the stock will go up by 3%, and your call might not even gain value. That does happen, weirdly enough, during earnings because of how things are priced. I've seen earnings where you take a call, it goes up by 5%, and my option has lost value. I have seen that before. So the implied volatility can really mess with the price of stuff. It just doesn't look like any rug pull behavior to me for the end of the day. We'll see. We're heading into the last 15 minutes. We'll see. Do you think Amazon can bounce from here? Okay, someone's saying Amazon looked like kind of like crap. But really, this is not the worst look in the world. You're going up into the first breakdown area point that you would say a wick on. So this does make sense. If you want to break to go a little bit higher, well, what would you need? At least a 30-minute pullback? What'd you get? You got a 30-minute pullback. So now you want to see, does it confirm more upside? Is it by a weekly range? Is it blah, blah, blah? All these things you have to kind of look at the same time. Can this head higher from here? Yes, it can. Where could it head towards? Well, it could head up towards like 184 if it wants to go to its overall expected high for the week. So if it did that, what would happen? Well, this 30-minute would cross up on this MACD. All right, that would cross up and we would see this happen, and then we might have a divergence for a bigger pullback. So Amazon could be basing out here. It's kind of just moving, pulling back with time at this moment. See if you can get another confirmation, and there could be more upside. That's pretty much how it works. If you see a confirmation of upside, then the probable thing is it's going to experience more upside. As far as it heading down or pulling back down more, the 2-hour has an argument for that, right? The 2-hour does have an argument for that. Where would it go to? I think 174.51 would be the first point to pay attention. After that, you'd want to look for that maybe gap fill, see if that can turn back around. And then maybe Amazon's a decent play again. We'll find out. It just seems like patience is your friend for the next few days. Yeah, let's go take a peek over at gold, by the way. So gold's showing some interesting things here. Okay, gold's showing some interesting things, really doing some good breakout behavior here. See if it can retest or something. But I want to look into this 30-minute divergence just a little bit. We don't see any selling coming in just yet. So it is holding up better, just pulling back with time. This is why during a short squeeze, it's very hard to short the top, right? Because this could just use your shorts to head higher, use your shorts to head higher. That can happen over and over and over again. So what you want to see in more the time where you want to take a chance if you're going to play any downside in this move is if you see a crossover very, very close to negative territory. But this does look like it may need to retest or something like that, maybe move sideways until it can break out. We'll see. Next to Lucas, Tom Lee is my main man. Tom Lee just saying, hey, things can go up pretty fast over the next few years, actually. What are you noticing with IWM? Hey, we're going up higher, but look at the 30-minute. I have a divergence telling me, hey, there might be a 2-hour pullback on the horizon. That would still be great. This is still a great move. It just might need to digest a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Go into the breakdown area. Awesome. See if you can go like this and curl right back up. That would be a great look for a trader. I'm more talking about things in a way that says this is the trade that could be setting up soon. Because I know a lot of people might have thought we were crashing, even though we on this channel were very diligent about saying, hey, NVIDIA is showing some serious divergence down there. Well, some people might be late to the move and be trying to jump in and things like that. And maybe that is the right decision for if we see some more positivity on the daily scale. But as a good trader, I like to be patient, take my profit, and then see that thing pull back or give me the next trade setup. I can be very patient. I've made great money in this move, so I'm not complaining by any means. This could just leak higher and higher and higher into Jackson Hole, which a lot of people were saying this, and we didn't necessarily say it. We said there's potential for it to do this. If this rolls over, it never happened. So a lot of people saying, oh, we're going to curl down and then Jackson Hole is going to send us up into the top. We just said that's a little less likely just because of the divergence for NVIDIA. NVIDIA really gave us the great hint. Tesla. As far as Tesla goes, this is a fantastic move, and you still have like 10 points higher to go. The most likely scenario is you're going to end up here at some point. It's just, are you going to pull back with the market? Are we going to see the squeeze continue and then start to pull back, right, and get the retest? I think this look would be very, very nice. So we'll see if things start to pull down. Yeah, everyone, and that's what happens in a short squeeze is people try to short every day. But we're not seeing that today. I'm not seeing a ton of shorts come in on the PCC. I'm just seeing a pretty low reading, actually. So that tells me, hey, this could be a period of consolidation or something like that, or some kind of pull down. Just know that volatility spiked dramatically not too long ago, right? Volatility spiked more dramatically, almost as dramatic as the C19 moment, we'll say it that way. But that means to us, volatility still can come back in dramatically, and people can really be feared out of moves because of that. So what I want to pay attention to is, are we actually going to see this confirm back up above this 200? Nope, Ari's back. She's crying a little bit. Are we going to hold above this 200? As of right now, it is holding above the 200. So holding onto a hedge is still justified in my book. Obviously, I've taken out my longs, so my hedge is just a position at this point. But anytime you can see a reaction from here, so you want to be careful. Now, if that starts to close below, what's the most likely thing? Ooh, well, we might be seeing more of a squeeze. Short Fridays, I have to admit to the group that I just smashed the like button. That's what I like to hear. Major event any moment. Moscow pulling VIPs towards bunkers. That is not a good sign, Richard. Tell us more. Tell us more, Richard. But this is nice because this is a good learning experience for short squeezes. Usually the first really big sign that you're going to continue to squeeze is the daily on volatility starts to cross down. And that's exactly what we said, and that's exactly what's happened. Didn't mean we knew it was going to happen. We were just aware of it, and then we said, okay, more squeeze potential. And look at that. After a couple days, 3 days, 2 or 3 days, I can sell my position and be like, okay, now we're getting the retest of the 200. So I want to make sure not to hold any of those longs for right now till I see some consolidation, because this is a great move, but you will see 2-hour pullbacks. And look, if you just look, we're above a 5. All right, you see that 5 over there? We're above a 5. How many times have we really gotten above a 5? Well, we've pretty much never gotten above a 5 ever since 2022. You see this 5 level? Right there. We did right here. Right here was the first time we got above a 5. What happened from that area? We pulled down, and that was a spike from a low. But to see this big of a move this fast, that is kind of crazy to me. To see, whoa. You don't see that very often. I'll tell you that. You don't see that very often, especially in a what was potentially a breakdown in the first move up. Usually you'll get that bounce up, ooh, bigger move up, and now you consolidate or something, but we didn't do that. Very cool. Oh, it's very overbought. You can be overbought for a long time. That is facts. I mean, okay, so pay attention to the 15-minute. Look at the 15-minute. Imagine this was happening, right? All this was happening on a 2-hour scale. That can happen. That can happen. All right, 2-hour scales can end up looking like that. Yeah, Mara had great reversal signals. Where the heck are you? Where's Mara? Mara has some great reversal signals in it. 2-hour divergence, curl up. Now you're looking a little bit flaggy. You need to see a breakout moment. But the daily looking like, hey, it's winding up and wants to turn up. So what is Bitcoin doing? It's going positive, and it looks like what's it doing as of right now on the MACD? It's crossing up. You can see a tiny, tiny green bar down there. So if Bitcoin curls up on this MACD, then Mara most likely curls up. And now you're going to see even more breadth probably come into the market. So we'll see. But all of this has to happen like in the next day or two. You have to see Bitcoin confirming up. You have to keep confirming that you're squeezing. You have to maybe move sideways for a period of time to confirm more upside. Because I just want you to see, you see this moment, we curled down dramatically, then we had this type of shape. Awesome. That's fantastic, right? Kind of looks like NVIDIA to me. We go up, we beat the previous high. What happened shortly after that? Bigger drop. Okay, what we were looking for more so here is it would be nice to consolidate a little further. That way you can hold at these lower levels and you never have to experience that big drop, right? So if we keep going higher and we do this, you're asking for a bigger pullback that then leads to more upside, but we'll find out. Yeah, Legini, though, I do like that Mara play. If it all can confirm, it looks pretty damn good. Looks like you're about to close at the high of the day again. Well, that's supposed to be Israel, right? Israel's supposed to be some, you know, a big, big military state there. I love that we just boringly trickle up towards that daily expected move. Okay, volatility calls are scaling up a little bit. We'll see if the PCC, nope, nobody really flying to puts, but I am seeing the value of my hedge that became a position. Not adding to it. That's key to understand, by the way. I'm not adding to it. I'm not actually trying to short this move. I'm just trying to be like, hey, I'm going to leave my hedge and see if that can gain its value back. It did. And the reason that it did and why it's positive right now is because someone out there is hedging. It seems someone is hedging right now, and maybe on a pretty big scale, because my option should be nowhere near priced that amount. Yeah, LPSN we did look at this morning for a brief moment. This one was cool. So what we're paying attention to at this moment is this is a great move, right? This is a fantastic move. You don't really have big divergences. The 30-minute can pull back at any time. Okay, we understand that. Now, if we zoom out to say a 2-hour, you're going, oh, this is a great move. This just looks like the beginning of a positive trend. Now, does it mean I want to chase it here? Not necessarily, because even if I wanted to ignore it, I still have to say there is some form of divergence at these levels. And the reason I can see that is because the daily scale is going to be crossing up, and look how overextended that is. You can keep going. You're running into the 200, but you can keep going. If you confirm this back down, though, that's going to be a sign of weakness. I don't think the weakness is really there yet. I don't think it's showing its face. So I would like, at least for, you know, a trader to be patient in this area, as pretty much every time frame you look at is overbought. So if that curls down, hey, awesome. You can see more positivity if it curls back up. If it curls down too much and you start to confirm down on daily scales, that's when you want to be like, oof. A little worried about that one. To the center line, right, Diana? So we're just talking about pullbacks. Unless we're close to the center line, we're not really talking about anything. Unless we have divergence that's close to the center line, we're not talking about big moves in the downward direction. Right. We're not even on the dollar. You're not really, even on the 30-minute, you're not even close to going positive, right? So even on this, you're not really seeing it. You're not seeing, hey, this could reverse the trend completely. Look at something interesting here. I saw AMD was still trending. AMD finally with a good breakout moment. Remember the last breakout? See, like this, like you see this reversal signal up here. This is more what you want to wait for in some kind of squeeze, right? You want to wait for signals like this, see that very close to the center line. You see how it made all the divergences, but now it's very close to the center line. That's a better time. That's a higher probable move because you're just close to that center line. It's kind of a judgment call, but you can see how much closer it is than when it was back here. Are we even at this point yet? Well, let's go look at the price action right now. Right now we're seeing a couple blips, but we're not turning down very fast at all. We're not really seeing that pullback moment. So you really need this. This could pull down and pull right back up and then curve down, right? We could continue to just trickle higher like that, and then we see that signal as we approach 160.83. Great move for that one too. Where are the daily expected moves found? I calculate them using the options data. If you want to, you can look up on Google. I'm not going to hide it from you. You can look it up on Google right now and type how to calculate daily expected moves using options data. But if you want to learn how to do it using like Robinhood or your trading platform, I teach, I use my fun account to teach people in the course the using indicators, divergence, and weekly ranges to trade. And it'll teach you everything you need to know to really be a good trader, in my opinion. I teach you in that course how to do it on Robinhood, but you can do it on any platform. You just want to make sure you know exactly how to do it, and that's what I teach you how to do. But if you want to figure it out yourself, be like me, I encourage it. I think that's awesome that you want to learn it yourself. I think that's fantastic because that's what I did. So yeah. Where do you post the daily expected moves? We post them on YouTube right here for the SPY and the Qs. You can't have daily expected moves for individual stocks except for on Fridays. So on Thursday night, we do post daily expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel. But you can't do it for, say, a Tuesday for Apple because Apple does not have an expiration date for tomorrow, right? So you have to have an expiration date. Yeah, seemed like Nazim liked the course. Hopefully you're benefiting from it. Hopefully it is useful to you. That's the biggest thing. No, I don't post every day, but I'm live every single morning. So if you ever need the daily expected moves, just show up in the morning, ask real quick. We'll flip over to it. But yeah, life was a little crazy. It's my birthday, a couple of weeks here. So I know I have a birthday, but it's kind of when you're a parent, you kind of just take whatever you can all the time. So for the most part, though, anytime there's a YouTube video, you're going to see those updated daily expected moves. Anytime that I miss it, just know if I'm live the next morning, okay, that's where you're going to see it. If I can't go live, though, there have been times where I've posted the daily expected moves to Patreon. Yes. If I absolutely cannot be in front of my computer trading with you guys, looking at stocks together, then I do put that onto Patreon. I've had to do that only a couple times because I'm usually going live. What's so damn expensive? Up to 15 now. Damn Bidenomics. Hey, thank you so much, Short Fridays, for the $5. Really do appreciate that. You're still in Kava? That's awesome. I need to go eat Firehouse subs. That's what I need to do. But if it's $15 a sub, that's a lot. Kava, you're getting a lot. See, this is when you start to pay attention. As you start to see this getting closer and closer and closer to going negative, that's when you start to pay attention. Okay, so what are you noticing from this area too? What are we doing? Well, we're getting overextended. We didn't do the consolidative thing to keep this, I would say, a healthy move, right? We didn't form that handle. So now you can say, uh-oh, this could be a bad sign. Now, the thing to read into, though, is you got earnings right around the corner. Right, you have earnings right around the corner, so that can really shake things up. That can go either direction. What do you notice here from the 2 hour? We're starting to pull back, even though the price action keeps going up. This is just, it seems a little too overexcited at this moment. And that's just all I can say about it. Really, you had great structure to see a fantastic move, right? So what I'm getting at here is now you might have enough liquidity to trickle a little higher, but then you're kind of at risk. If you would have stopped here, you can see this, if you would have stopped here and really built up to that level and then curled back down, okay, now we're not too overexcited, so that still can do that, right? You still want to pay attention to your signals, but this is the overall look that could have remained bullish for a long time, and then you probably could have saw like 120 or something like that. But because we're getting overextended right before earnings, you just want to be a little cautious with it. You scalp Kava every day, that's funny. Yo, did this thing ever bleep and say Short Friday super chatted? Hey, I appreciate it either way, even though it's not popping up right now. Yeah, it's not popping up. That's weird. All right, we have officially closed. It is 3:01. Look across here, I would love to. There it is. There it is. Thank you for the $5 towards the Get Lucas Some Lunch Fund. So for the most part, though, we're going to break this stuff down in the YouTube video tonight, so pay attention to that. What do we notice at the end of the day? Well, nothing really happened from the dollar, so I think that's a key thing. We're not necessarily seeing rigged behavior. I would just be aware that the volatility is right now testing that 200. So you're pretty much right at that 200. We'll see if that has anything to say for a reaction tomorrow. I think a pullback would still be very, very nice. I'm not going to chase this move further. I'm going to be waiting for consolidation. I'm still aware this is very, very bullish, okay? Very, 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 very bullish. It is more bullish than what I expect at this point, which usually when that happens, it does continue to the upside. But now we have to really be on our toes and be able to kind of talk about it differently. Let's switch it up. Now we have to say, is this the best time to get into a move? Maybe on some stocks, you can look at individual names, but for the most part, you would say, if I'm trying to go into the SPY right now, I need to be a little bit patient. I think that's what I want to say going forward. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will be making a YouTube video once I can get that options data in about an hour. I'll be putting out a YouTube video breaking down some stuff we're seeing, giving you those new daily expected moves for the SPY and the Qs. All right, so make sure you join in a little bit. If you're someone who like to see the truth, if you have missed out on seeing some of those daily expected moves, just make sure you keep notifications on. I usually do put out like at least four YouTube videos a week, just YouTube videos, not live videos. So make sure you have those notifications on so you're getting this info because it's pretty important. And you see that another day of squeezing, another day of landing just outside of that daily expected move. So maybe tomorrow's will be important. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about that real quick is since some of you guys still remained on here, I want to give you guys a little treat. Tomorrow, we'll talk about this before the YouTube video. Tomorrow, you might have a range like this, okay? And so if you keep squeezing and squeezing, this area right here is going to be very, very important, all right? So just keep that in your mind before we get into the YouTube video. But thank you guys so much for showing up today. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Thank you for the donations. You guys are always fantastic, and I will see you on YouTube in just a little bit, all right?